How you doing? Master Corporal Smith. So we're going to get started. So we're going to go through the PowerPoint, and this PowerPoint is going to give a description about the Newark Police Department here in Delaware, as well as some of our hiring process tips, some things you may see throughout the process. Also, we'll go through our salary, things that have to do with our some of our benefits, as well as we'll get into what to expect after you're hired as far as academy lifestyle. So I'm going to start the PowerPoint, and if you have any questions, I'll explain that in the next slide how you can ask them. All right, so just a quick introduction. We'll go through an introduction of myself, and I also have Lieutenant Andrew Rubin here with me to help with some of the questions. We're going to go through the overview of the hiring process, everything from the physical fitness test all the way to the chief's interview. And as I said before, we'll go through some things about the police academy. And if you have any questions about the police academy, now would be a good time to ask them as well when we go through this PowerPoint. So we understand that you may have questions, and we'll do our best to address any of them in as much detail as possible. So any questions, if you're familiar with the Zoom, you can either use the chat option or the raise your hand option through the Zoom application. Also, if you choose not to and want to remain anonymous or have a longer question, please feel free to email us at policepio@newark.de.us. That we will get instantly as well, and we will do our best to answer the question on this Zoom. All right, so just a quick introduction to our Newark Police Department executive staff. We have our Chief, Paul Tiernan, our Deputy Chief, Mark Farrell, and our Deputy Chief, Kevin Feeney. These are three of the executive staff that you may see throughout your process, through the hiring process, starting at the written exam all the way to the chief's interview. This is myself. I am Master Corporal William Smith. I'm assigned to the administrative unit, and I deal with a lot of the recruitment and the hiring process. And you may see me throughout this process as well. And with me is my supervisor, Lieutenant Andrew Rubin, who is also part of the recruitment and hiring process. So if you're not familiar, this is the city of Newark, Delaware. It's our municipal building and police department. They are attached. Our municipality is on the right-hand side, and the police department is attached on the left-hand side. Again, this is just more of the police department. We have a large complex here in the municipality area. So a little bit about our police department. The Newark Police Department goes back to 1867. So currently the population, with some updates coming with the census, we're probably about 33 to 35,000 in population, with UD enrollments anywhere from 22 to 24,000 students when we're not dealing with virtual learning. Our geographic size is about 9.19 square miles, and we're located right off exit 95 if you're not familiar with Delaware, and we border Maryland and Pennsylvania. Currently, we have 72 sworn officers and 25 civilian employees. 72 sworn officers may not seem like a lot, but for the state of Delaware, we are one of the larger departments. We average close to 50,000 calls for service any given year, and that fluctuates depending on what is going on. As far as it's going to be a little bit lower this year because of the pandemic. So a little bit more about our department. We are a 24/7 department, so we operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There are some departments in Delaware that are not 24 hours or 7 days a week, but we are. We've been nationally accredited since 1997, and that is through CALEA, which has over 484 standards. What is unique, but if you're from New Jersey and some of the outside areas, but it's unique to Delaware, is we do have our own court, our Alderman Court 40, which is located inside the City of Newark Municipality building, which they deal with a lot of misdemeanors or city of ordinance violations. It is not a 24/7 court, but it is Monday through Friday. So a little bit about our department structure. This just breaks it down a little bit of how our divisions are broken down. You have the chief, the captain, and then the two deputy chiefs, which cover the Field Operations Bureau and Administrative and Investigations Bureau. And under that is 4 lieutenants, and auxiliary services falls under the chief of police as well as the administrative professional, which is his secretary. To break it down even more, we have a traffic unit, a special operations unit, a canine unit, and we have animal control, which is a civilian position. Our patrol unit consists of 5 patrol units. We have a criminal investigations division, which is our detectives, and that covers general investigations. We have a special investigation unit, which is our drug unit. We have family services, which deals with family domestic type crimes. We have a street crimes unit, which is more of a undercover unit. They deal with local and street level crimes, drug related, prostitution, things like that. We have victim services, which is a resource that our officers are able to use to help provide assistance to victims. And we have in our administrative unit, we have crime analysis, accreditation officers. We have school resource officers in the city of Newark. We have an evidence detection unit, which is more like the forensics side of law enforcement. And we have a training coordinator, and then into our records and communication section, which is our dispatch. So to break down the patrol division, so normally we are at a 5 patrol shifts, which is 1 sergeant, 1 master corporal, and 5 patrol officers. So they work kind of a unique schedule, which is the modified 10-hour shift. So you may work 10 or 8-hour shifts, and it's a 5-week cycle. Currently, due to COVID, we're working a little bit of a modified schedule to help maximize our efforts on the streets, as well as keeping our officers safe. But traditionally, we will be with the 5 patrol shifts. So some of our specialized units that we have, we do have crisis negotiation, which is a unit that has negotiators, and they'll be used on scenes of barricades, hostage, dealing with people that may suffer from mental illness or suicidal subjects. Crisis negotiations will be used for that. Our street crimes unit, which is usually our plain clothes unit, they investigate everything from graffiti, prostitution to drugs, and will assist in surveillance for detectives. Some of them may also be assigned to a federal task force, such as DEA or the Marshals or FBI human trafficking unit. Our traffic unit, which is, as you can see, has a motor unit as well. They deal with accident reconstruction, and you also have the opportunity to become a motorcycle operator. So they'll be called out for large collisions, anything that involves major injuries, and they go through several weeks of training to become accident reconstructionists. Our special operations unit, which deals with a lot of our community problems, they also have a bicycle unit attached to them, as well as our canine unit is currently attached to that unit. Here's just some other pictures to see. Our motorcycles and our traffic unit will be involved in a lot of parade ceremonies, demonstrations. Motorcycles are very popular with kids. As you can see, they deal with major collisions, as well as we'll have some school demonstrations done for the kids as well. So we have a lot of community involvement. Our school resource officer, which is assigned under our administrative unit, as you can see, our SRO is currently assigned to Newark High School. We have an accreditation officer, a crime analysis officer, a training officer, and an evidence detection officer. We will be adding a second SRO this upcoming school year once we are removed from the virtual learning. Our evidence detection, which is a popular one for people that are interested in forensics. So evidence detection officer will usually do a few years on the road. He's involved in a lot of evidence scenes and processing on the street, and then eventually he'll get the opportunity to go into a little bit more of a in-depth evidence detection, dealing with DNA, fingerprint analysis. So if that's something that interests you, we do offer that here as well. With the criminal investigations division, which is our detectives, so they'll deal with general investigations such as robberies, burglaries, large thefts. Our family services, he is an officer or detective that deals with any domestic related child crimes or sexual sex assaults and rapes. And then our special investigation officers are officers assigned to our drug unit, which currently can be assigned to the DEA or any other federal unit to assist. We have a SWAT team currently. We currently have 13 operators, and in the SWAT team, we have a sniper and operator. So we have currently 2 snipers and 11 operators assigned to the SWAT team. And that is ever changing. We grow At any given time, we partner with other agencies to assist them as well. We have a honor guard and color guard. The honor guard will deal with everything such as funerals, any presentations, and the color guard will deal with mostly parades and any time the flag needs to be presented, such as a 9/11 memorial. Just some more pictures of the unit. We have the honor guard picture up in the top left-hand corner, which is in front of the Bob at the University of Delaware. Some more pictures of our SWAT team a few years ago, and at the time, our evidence detection officer, who processes and has a whole processing area within the department. So our canine unit, just a few fun pictures. The dog in the top left is currently retired, and one of our newer dogs, Canine Ludo, is in the top right-hand corner. He is a bomb detection dog, and Canine Varg, which is in the bottom, he is a drug dog. So we currently have 2 canines, and they're currently both assigned to the patrol division. Normally they would be with the special operations unit, but due to the pandemic, they have been cycled back to the road. Here's some more pictures. Canine Varg and Canine Ludo, both our newest canines. So just some community events that we do have. We do a lot of departmental tours throughout the year involving kids, students from the University of Delaware. We do it for Citizens Police Academy. So we do a lot of police departmental tours. In the past, we have done Shop with a Cop, and we've also partnered with Toys for Tots. Sometimes we combine that. We have participated in New Night downtown Newark, Community Day, which will happen normally outside of the pandemic, as well as Trunk or Treat, Coffee with a Cop, and Girl Scout and Cub Scout tours. We also have Neighborhood Watch and Civic Associating meetings that we attend. We also are a big partner with Special Olympics. So anyone that's around law enforcement knows that police are really involved in the Special Olympics. And a few years ago, one of our officers was able to actually ride the torch into Rehoboth Beach, as you can see in the picture, and carry the torch on his motorcycle. So something unique about Newark Police Department is where we're located. So we are located in the top northwestern side of the state of Delaware. So we're kind of just west of Wilmington on the 95 corridor. So as you can see, if you're in this area, you're not too far from us. But we do not have a residency requirement. So we have officers that live in Pennsylvania, officers that live in Maryland, officers that live in New Jersey, and several officers that live in the state of Delaware. So if you're out of state and you're applying, there's no need to pack up and pick up and move immediately unless you choose to, but you can live in any of the bordering states as long as it's reasonable for you to get here in a timely manner. So just some things about our collective bargaining agreement. This is when we get into the salary, education incentives, insurance, education, and vacation time. So these are important things to someone looking into a career in law enforcement. So currently, as a new hire, our salary is $45,801. After 6 months, which is around the time that you would complete a state academy or a county academy, you would be making $56,706. And after 1 year, it goes up to $58,342. And that's as of this past July. So you may, if you're looking from New Jersey, you may say the salary seems a little bit lower in comparison to some of the New Jersey departments. What you need to remember too is about Delaware's cost of living is totally different than our surrounding states, as well as the real estate tax. So don't look at the salary and just assume that you can't afford that to live on that. Well, Delaware's a lot cheaper. So understand that you can live, if you choose to live in Delaware, you can, with the cost of living lower, it's a reasonable salary comparative to the other agencies in the state. So after your 1 year of making it $58,342, after that we have increases that go up. So they're annual step raises which are given, and also after 10 years of service, you receive a longevity award, which is equivalent to 2% of your monthly base salary times your years of service. So things that we also are paid for is if you have court, you get 3 hours of straight time. if you work overtime, it's at time and a half, and we have an abundance of overtime in the city of Newark. Extra duty is also paid at time and a half. Historically, we do work the University of Delaware football games. We have a lot of construction jobs, traffic jobs, foot patrol, pedestrian education, speed enforcement, seatbelt enforcement, truck enforcement. So there's a lot of overtime available. And your dry cleaning is also covered for your uniforms. So some things about our health insurance. So it is 100% paid for the employee. So any of your dependents, the employee would pay 17.5% of the cost. So you're probably looking anywhere from, if it's just you and a spouse, anywhere from about $100. About $100. Vision care is also 100% paid by the employee, and dental insurance, including orthodontics, is 100% paid for the employee, and all your dependents under that will pay 17.5% of the cost. So we do have a question that I will answer.
How many steps to max out for patrol officer, and how many years before you go to
Okay, so how it works in our department. All right, so the question is it basically is describing our steps at the police department as far as in a rank or promotion. So as you're hired as a police officer, and as a police officer, you'll be a police officer from years 1 to 3. At year 3, you will obtain the rank of PFC. At year 4, assuming that you achieve your career goals, which are attending training, doing other tasks around the department, such as going to bike training or evidence training or becoming a field training officer, you'll obtain the rank of corporal. And the rank of corporal is kind of where you can stay your entire career, or you can choose to test to be a master corporal, which is the first line supervisor. So you can start testing for master corporal at year 4. At year 7, you can begin to test for the rank of sergeant. After that, then it becomes to more of interview processes for the ranks of lieutenant, captain, and deputy chiefs.
But if you never get promoted, your steps continue through year 25.
Yeah, so if you decide at year 4 you become a corporal, and for some reason you do not choose to or do not advance your career past corporal, those steps go all the way out to 25 years. So you will continuously obtain steps. So your year 1 would be step 1, and you would go all the way out to step 25, and corporal increases all the way out to step 25, and you would top out at currently 85,600. So that would be your top out at the rank of corporal. So I hope I answered that question. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to ask as we go. So a question was, does education help when you come in as far as with promotion and rank? Education is always a plus. We do require 60 credits or an associate's degree. A lot of officers choose to obtain further education while they're working here, because I'll cover education assistance later in this PowerPoint. For any education always helps. It's not a requirement to be promoted. Once you're hired, there's no further education requirements to continue your promotion in your career. All right, so we're on to the education portion now. So there is financial assistance to each employee who successfully completes any formal undergraduate education course, which is not a prerequisite to employment, and which is directly related to the improvement of the employee's ability to perform his or her assigned duties. So the cost of tuition and textbooks shall be the only expenses eligible for financial assistance. No other cost shall be eligible. So the rate of reimbursement, the city will reimburse each employee for half of all eligible expenses. So then to go into the education incentive program, so this is where kind of having a bachelor's or a bachelor's degree or higher could benefit an employee. So anyone with a bachelor's degree after completing 3 years at the agency will receive an extra $1,000 per year. And anyone with a bachelor's degree higher, above a bachelor's degree, would receive $1,250 per year. Okay, so if you never get promoted and you stay at the rank of corporal, it's $94,000 is what your top out is currently. But of course, as you hit 25 years, that would definitely be a lot different from what it is today. All right, so some of the pension stuff. This is important to law enforcement. I know it's important to me. As you get into law enforcement, one of the best things for us is to have a pension and a retirement. So if you think about how old you are now, add 20 years, and you'll be eligible to retire with a pension. So eligible employees may participate in the city's pension plan, which provides full pension benefits after. So 20 years at 50. So if you work at the City of Newark Police Department for 20 years, you would be eligible for 50% of the average of your previous 36 months salary. So basically, when you retire 20 years, you would get 50% of your salary, so half your salary. So if you're 21 and you want to work till you're 41, collect 50% of your pension and go do something else, or go to law school and get your become a lawyer, you can do that at 41 years old. So employees will earn an additional 3.5 for each additional year, maxing out at 67.5. So if you decide to stay here 25 years, you would get 67.5% of your salary. Now, it doesn't go up after that if you stay 26, 27, 28 years. However, your salary would increase, increasing your pension. But the 67.5 does never change. So it's not like you're going to earn 100%. So you top out at 25 years. The city will also provide retirement health savings plan, to which both the city and the employee contribute. These funds can be used upon retirement to pay for health benefits. So you'll have basically a health savings plan that will help you after you retire to pay for your health benefits, which is a huge deal nowadays to have health benefits and a pension at retirement. So we have a question: is there mandatory retirement? So at the City of Newark, we do not have a top out age to apply. So you just have to be 21 years old, and there's no age top out for hiring, and there's also no age out for retirement. So currently, if you decide to work 30 years and you would be 60 years old, you can continue to work as long as you choose to do this type of work, but we do not have an age out. Some departments do have it at 55 years. If I'm 55 years old and you're out, we do not have that. So some things about vacation, which are also important to people nowadays to get some time off. We get 12 paid holidays annually, 2 weeks of paid vacation after 1 year of service. So after being here a year, you get 2 weeks of vacation, or if you want to break it down to be 80 hours. 3 weeks you will get after 5 years, 4 weeks after 10 years, 5 weeks after 15 years, and 5.5 weeks after 20 years. This also, something that's important to a lot of people is you get double time and a half when working on a holiday. So why that comes up is because we are 24/7. There will be holidays you have to work. So of the 12 paid holidays annually, you may have to work some of those paid holidays, and it is at double time and a half. So understand that in this career, you may have to work Thanksgiving, you may have to work a Christmas, but you are being compensated.
Question that we'll probably talk about a minute about scoring well. Does the written test score matter? Does the test score matter? I think we'll get to that.
Okay, so time off and leave. So currently employees accumulate 10 hours per month of sick time. In addition to annual sick time, they get a bonus of 24 hours is provided to an officer who utilizes a minimum amount of sick time, and that's determined at the end of the year what the minimum amount is. After reaching 720 hours of accumulated sick time, the city buys back the excess of sick time on a yearly basis. So if you usually around between years 5 and 7, if you don't use much sick time, you can accumulate 720 hours. At that point, they're going to buy back some of your time, which would be usually around right after the holidays. You would get a check, usually a little over $1,000 that you could use towards paying back some of the holiday gifts, but it's a nice little kickback for not using any sick time. The city also provides emergency, bereavement, and military leave. So you have a house emergency, you have a flood in your basement, they offer emergency time for that. Bereavement and military leave. So if you are currently in the military, or if you're in the Reserve or National Guard, we do have military leave. And currently we do receive 30 hours of essential personnel time, and this is time that you can use anytime you need to. It's 30 hours on top of your vacation. So I do want to go back. I don't think I covered on time off and leave. There's also, you also can accrue comp time, and you also have a 8-hour personal day or 10-hour personal day. So if you're starting new and you get your 2 weeks of vacation, which would be 80 hours, you also get another 40 hours with 30 hours of essential personnel time and 10 hours personal day that you can use at any time. All right, so this is where most of you are. This is where we're at for minimum standards. So we're in the application process. So some of our minimum standards, which you may have seen on our website, is each candidate must be a U.S. citizen. Each candidate must be at least 21 years old by date of appointment. Each candidate must have a valid and current driver's license and at least 1 year of driving experience prior to application. An applicant must not have a revoked or suspended driver's license within a 3-year period prior to this application. So some of our minimum standards, each candidate must possess the following. You must have an associate's degree or higher, or have completed 1/2 of the requirement for a bachelor's degree, which is 60 credits. So 60 credits or an associate's degree is what you need to possess to be hired. For anyone out there that does not have that and has some military time, if you possess 30 college credits with more than 2 years of prior military experience, would also be acceptable. So we define military experience as 3 or more years of active duty or 6+ years of guard or reserve time. This sometimes can confuse people how the language is. If you have a question about this, please email the PIO, police@newark.de.us. Send me your email and I will get back to you with a more detailed explanation of that. So the applicant must also possess honorable discharge documentation. So some minimum standards. The arrest record. Any candidate who has been convicted of a felony will be disqualified from consideration. Some physical requirements. Each employee must have weight in proportion to height, 20/200 vision in each eye, correctable to 20/20 in each eye. Normal color vision and physical skills necessary to perform the duties. So our application, anyone that's interested in applying needs to apply by 4 p.m. on Friday, October 9th. And the website is up on your screen if you need it. Please feel free to jot that down. I'll leave this up for a second. And you will need to have all your college transcript documentation in by October 9th. So not by the written test date. Have it in by October 9th, 2020. All right, some things about your application. If you've ever applied at a police department before, you want to make sure everything on your applications are consistent. These are tips now from me to you. These are not departmental. These are things that I've come across that will work to help you out. So just make sure whatever you put on a prior application is there. Don't leave things off that you may have put on a state police application and you didn't think it was relevant, so you didn't put it on ours. Make sure you have all this information on each application because we see other applications. Be thorough. So again, don't assume, I don't think it's relevant when it comes to work history, references, or incidents. Through a mission, though an omission may not be done with malicious intent. So if you're not you're skipping it for, you didn't think a bad reason, but this stuff comes up during background, and it's important that we know up front because we can fix some things up front versus us trying to find out or finding out on the back end of a background. So make sure you do fill in the blanks. Make sure if you have gaps of employment. So if you worked at a grocery store while you're in college and then it's blank for several years because you were away or you were in the military, things like that. Just make sure all your significant employment gaps are noted. Keep us up to date. If you move or you take another job, so several of you may be in several processes. That is understandable. So if you take a job with another department, just let us know. It's going to save us time and it's going to save you time. But so a quick phone call or an email to let us know that you're withdrawing from the process is not a big deal. Just give us a heads up. And understand that with this process, it takes a lot of time. If you've ever been in a process before for law enforcement, they take time. We're not looking to possibly hire someone till the next academy, and the next academy is not till March. So that you're looking at 6 months away. These processes do take every bit of 6 months. So please be patient. If you have questions, I'm going to leave my email as well. Email me if you have questions. Don't call the city, things like that, because we want to try to eliminate any useless conversation that's not needed, because these processes do take time. All right, so here's an overview of the hiring process. So you're going to have the written test and physical test. This is going to be done on the same day. Now, some of you may have done the process before, and it's a little bit different this time. So you're going to take the written test, and you're like, oh, wow, I'm going to wear my PT stuff to a written test. Yes, you're not going to show up in a suit. You're going to wear your PT stuff to the written test, because following the written test, you are going straight to the physical test. There is no, we're not going to be able to get the scores immediately for the written test, so everybody will do the written and physical test. Then you're going to go into oral board, your background investigation, your polygraph, your chief's interview, and post-chief's interview, that's when you'll have your psychological and physical examinations. After that, you'll be on to the academy. So these are things we're just going to cover real quickly. So the hiring process starts out with you placing an application. Some of you may have already done this. Notices will be sent out to you. And then we're going to go through the pass and fail during each phase of the process. So for the written and physical test, they are pass-fail. Oh, I'm sorry. The written test is we're doing a new written test this year, so if you've taken it before. So the written test is more than pass-fail, it is going to be scored. So I think that was a question that actually came up from someone. The written score does matter how high you score. The PT is a pass-fail. So if you've taken our test before, this is going to be a little bit of a different process. So our oral boards will be scheduled if you pass the written and PT test, and you'll be notified of that. And the background phase usually takes 6 to 8 weeks. So you figure the background is going to take close to 2 months. Then you'll be off to the polygraph. So now with the hiring process, so you're going to have a chief's interview is going to be the final determination of your placement on the eligibility list. So the chief's interview could be anywhere from staff members to other officers in the department. That determination will be made at a later date. So once a position becomes available, the chief will make his final selection and make it a conditional offer. Conditional offer basically means that we're making you the offer for employment should you pass the psychological and physical examination. An application is then made for your acceptance to attend a COPT certified academy. So currently we use the Delaware State Police and the Newcastle County Police Department. I'll explain a little bit more about their police academies. Dover Police Department, you may have heard recently, has started their own academy. We're not sure if that's going to be a continuous thing or if they're doing it for 1 or 2 classes. So again, this entire process may take up to 1 year, but we usually see these things go from anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So again, this is where it's changed. So if you've applied with us before, some of this is a little bit different. A minimum passing score must be obtained on a validated standardized test for a police officer. So what this written test is, it's going to be multiple choice, and it's going to cover written comprehension, some work styles questionnaires, and life experience surveys. So this is where it's changed. Following your written test is going to be the PT test. So again, wear something comfortable. If it's a cold day and you want to wear sweatpants, but you don't like to run in them, then have shorts underneath. Wear something that is going to help you succeed. And remember, relax during this process. You're going to be stressed during the written test. There's no need to overstress yourself out with the written test and the physical test. Prepare yourself. There's still time to get out and start running, doing some push-ups. Nobody receives a job offer after this. We will try to make this as relaxed and positive atmospheres for you so you can do your best at this portion of the test. So there's a lot more stressful things than this part of the process. So, remember, no one gets an offer after the PT test. So just come out and do your best and dress comfortable. So the physical fitness test. So where this all comes from is this is a pretty much a standard that the COPT, which is the Delaware Council on Police Training, has come up with. So what we'll do is these things are designed to show endurance, strength, and agility that the applicant may endure. Passing score must be achieved to be considered further, and I'll go through the passing score at the bottom. Applicants will then will participate in a health and exercise assessment conducted by Cardiokinetics, which is located here in the city of Newark. So with the standard, this is pretty much an academy standard. These are things that you need to have to be accepted into the academy. So for us, 1.5, so a mile and a half run needs to be completed in 15 minutes and 55 seconds. You need to be able to do 24 push-ups. You need to be able to do 28 sit-ups and a 300-meter run in 63 seconds. So these are things that I know we're right around the corner for this test. So you have a little less than a month to kind of look at these things and see where you're at and try to obtain these scores. All right, so here's a quick video. There's no sound to the video, so don't look for it. This is one of our officers. It's probably going slow. So this is just a demonstration of the PT test. So he's just demonstrating the run. All right, so the written test and physical test. Well, I'm going to pause real quick for a few questions.
Talk about the obstacle with the PT test and the resting periods between each session.
So the physical test is we are there to monitor it, but it is put on by Cardiokinetics. So how it usually works is they will do one group at a time. So it'll start off with however they design it to. So they do it to try. There's not a huge break in between, but there is downtime in between doing each set. So you do need to be prepared for this. When you go to the academy, there's not much the downtime either. So this is kind of set up similar to that.
And then another question, if you want to elaborate on Cardiokinetics' role in the PT test,
all right, so Cardiokinetics. Yep. So Cardiokinetics will be at the PT test. They are there they will set up sit-ups, push-ups. They will monitor and time the run. So they are there to actually give the test for us. So they will be the ones counting your sit-ups, counting your push-ups. This way we have basically a non-biased company to help with giving the test to everybody, and they'll keep all the scores for us, and they'll provide it back to us. So they basically are there to administer the test. So if you're wondering what the Cardiokinetics attachment is, so they'll be out there with us as well, and they'll be the ones administering the test to you. We'll be there to answer any questions or help as needed. So the written and physical test is Saturday, October 4th. So you should be getting notification if you haven't already about the upcoming written and physical test. So oral board. So this will be the next portion. If you pass the written and physical, you'll go on to oral boards. So this is the candidates who achieve the highest passing score on the examination and pass the physical agility test will participate in an oral interview. Each candidate will be rated on the following traits. And this is where I'm going to kind of go through how, some of my tips that will help you. So appearance, manner, bearing, motivation, oral expression, and judgment. So these are things that we'll go through and I'll try to help you with. So this is what some of my personal things that you should try to look for. Have appreciation for the opportunity to interview for this position. Now, with the climate in the world today, some people might say, I can't believe you want to become a police officer. Well, there's a lot of us out here that still want to see this career succeed, still enjoy helping people, want to see positive change in the world. And maybe we get grouped in with other people, and we're here to try to change that look that law enforcement has. So have an appreciation for this opportunity. You're getting a rare opportunity to actually interview for a type of position like this. So really have the appreciation that you could potentially have an opportunity to be a difference in the world. So have appreciation for the opportunity you're given. Have enthusiasm for the job. This job is more than just going out and arresting people. You're going to be helping people. You may save a life. You may be giving a tour to Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Maybe doing tons of community work. Have enthusiasm that you are going to go out and be able to impact your community or the community you work. Understand what we've been going through in law enforcement. Have some empathy for that role. There's a lot of the role that compassion plays in this police work. Have some empathy in it, and be confident. If this is a job you want, be confident in yourself. Be comfortable with what you believe in. When you answer questions, be confident in it. Trust your ability, trust your common sense, because when you go out on the road, people are going to look to you for answers and help. You have to be confident, and it starts the minute you walk through the door. Don't be late. Do not be late. Make sure you're here 20 minutes prior. You have to go down and sit on the bench because you're early, so be it. Be early. Do not be late. But if you're going to be late, at least call and notify us. Do things happen? Absolutely. Are you coming down 95 and there's an accident, the bridge is closed? Things happen. At least let us know. Walk into the interview smiling, your head up, have good posture. Here's the thing is this a professional interview? Yes. But you can smile. You don't have to be robotic. Be a regular person. Make eye contact. Introduce yourself. Give a firm handshake. Should we be allowed to give handshakes? I don't know. Wear a mask if you're told to. A lot of this is new to all of us. Wait to be seated. Most likely, from past experiences, they're going to invite you to take a seat. Say thank you and be ready. The interviewers, let them begin the conversation. Don't start off with questions. Just let them begin. They have procedures that they're going to follow for everybody. And small talk should be responded with respectful phrases appropriate to a police department. So if they ask you a question about, if you say, are you from New Jersey? Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. The yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, that starts day one, too, because that's going to carry through the academy. And when you go out in the street, police are expected to be respectful. And this carries over and continues. Again, control what you say. Be smart about what you say. Do your homework. The first part of doing your homework is you attending this. I'm giving you some tips that are personally from me that I've researched, and after going through these interviews and seeing the interviews that I found that work. Pay attention to things on our website. Learn about the department. Learn about the city. If you want to work here, and if you do end up working here, you need to know the community around you. I'm not from Newark, Delaware, but I did my research before I applied here. Take your time. Think before you speak. If you have to take a second to think about what you're going to say, do it. Control how you say it. Your tone of voice. You don't want to whisper. You don't want to scream. Have confidence in what you say. Be relaxed. Be natural. We're looking for people to become police officers that are normal, and they're not like robotic. We want people that can interact with the public in a normal setting. And again, control your physical posture. Stay seated upright. Be alert and be purposeful. Don't start drifting off and not paying attention. So oral boards tend to last probably, I would say, anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. That'll be dictated earlier in the process when they determine what questions are going to be asked. That part of the process is set up prior to the test, so I don't have too much information on that. But most interviews go from anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. They try to keep it as quick as they can because we'll have a lot of interviews to go through. But you'll have plenty of time to answer the questions you need to. So oral board interviews will look to begin on the weeks of November 9th and November 16th. So if you need to jot that down, I'll leave it up for a second. Okay. All right, so after the oral board, I know this is a lot of stuff, but there's a lot going on, so I'm going to try to zip through these. So background investigation, they're going to cover your education, your residential history, employment, driving record, credit, any arrest you may have, police contact. We need to know all this information up front. You got to get this stuff out because they're going to find out. They're going to talk to your teachers. They're going to look at your transcripts. They're going to talk to your friends, professors. How are you in class? We need to know your credit score. It's important in this job that, we're not in debt because of overspending. Something we need to make sure you're able to handle your finances. And we're going to look and see where you lived as far as neighbors, landlords, roommates. We're going to go talk to your parents. They may visit your house. They may visit your neighbors. So these are things that you're going to need to prepare your family and friends for. Your background investigator will go through more of that with you. They're going to talk to you about personal issues. They're going to interview your family, neighbors again. They may come to your hometown. So if you're from South Jersey or New York, they may take a drive up and talk to your friends, neighbors, and teachers. Investigators will obviously interview your references. So we're going to talk to your references, and we may talk to people that you didn't list. And you want to make sure you let people know that someone from law enforcement may be contacting them, and just make sure that they are, honest about what you put on your background. So with this is, if you're applying at other agencies, this is for everything. If you're looking to apply in several other law enforcement agencies, have your friends and family be ready to be receiving phone calls. Because investigators are going to find out the truth regardless, so this is true. And don't be surprised, so this may be familiar for some, I don't know how all states are, but you will be fingerprinted by your background investigator. So some automatic disqualifications. The applicant must possess an honorable discharge. The driver's license, as I think I said earlier, you must have a driving license for 1 year prior to application, and it must be valid. It must not have been revoked or suspended for 3 years prior to application. And for the arrest record, any candidate who has been convicted of a felony will be disqualified. All right, so on to the polygraph, where most people tend to get nervous about taking polygraphs, and it's understandable. It's different. It's unique. It's called a lie detector, so that scares people. But just remember, just answer the questions truthfully. That's the best way to do it, because if you don't answer your questions truthfully on your application, that's when the polygraph is going to start to pick up on things. Just give honest answers all the way through, from the start of your application to the polygraph. Just give honest answers, and that's the easiest way to pass. Knowing what to expect and having confidence in your answers will help you eliminate some of the changes that occur when you're nervous. How do you prepare for a polygraph examination? Is basically be honest, relax, and place your mind at ease. You need to be as normal as possible, because the machine picks up on things like when you're nervous. So you want to be just as normal as possible. Make a good first impression. Don't be late, and you're going to be judged on your appearance and demeanor. So to go back to your oral board and to go back to the polygraph, the PT test, you're going to show up in shorts or sweatpants and athletic attire that's comfortable for you. Same with the written. Anything after that, you should be in a suit, shirt and tie. You should be dressed to impress. Again, you're making your first impression to several different people. This is when you're going to be judged on things like that. If you see the picture on the right, that's one of our sergeants who is our polygraph examiner. All right, so the chief's interview. Do your research again about, you can find out a ton of information about our department. Use the internet, Google it, research the city, research the police department. Be early, 15, 20 minutes early. Check your appearance. You got to go into the bathroom before you go up to your interview and make sure your tie is straight or your hair's okay. These are things you need to do. Use proper titles. If you know the rank, use it. If you don't know the rank, sir or ma'am is appropriate. Make eye contact. Again, you're going to be dealing with the public. The public's going to look to you for help and look to you for confidence. You want to make eye contact. It starts early in your career. And sound confident. You're going to be dealing with the public. They want to know that police officers patrolling their city are confident. Avoid creating distractions. Again, I may be doing it myself, saying but try to avoid saying or okay or see what I mean. Try to avoid those things. Don't sit at the table and tap if there's a pen. Plant your feet. If the chairs are swivel, which they probably will be. Don't be spinning around on your chair, swiveling nervously back and forth. Shaking hands, again, this is going to be new for how things are today. There might be no handshaking. You may be doing an interview in a mask. These may change things. So if you show up, you might not be shaking hands. But if you do and things change, make sure it is a firm handshake. If you can, know the rank insignia. For our department, if you see a star, it's the chief. If you see a leaf, it's the deputy chief. The double bar is the captain, and the single bar is the lieutenant. If you don't know these, not a big deal. Sir or ma'am is appropriate. You may have other people on your interview, then they may have you call them something different if it's a sergeant or a different rank. So knowing the rank ahead of time does help, but if you don't know, sir or ma'am is appropriate. So then after all this comes the conditional employment. A conditional employment is a offer of employment that basically means you have to meet the conditions of that. So what that means is they're going to say, hey, you've passed this process up to this point. We're going to make you a job offer, and it's conditional based on you passing your psychological and medical exam. So basically, to put it in perspective, you can be hired for the job as long as you pass a few final things. So the psychological exam is a battery test that includes several components. The exam starts with a pre-test self-interview and evaluation. Next comes with a multiple choice. Finally, there'll be a sit-down interview with a psychologist. So this takes into account the totality of all the components with the help of the psychologist to render a final opinion on the applicant's suitability for law enforcement. So that's usually determination expressed in three ways: low risk, medium risk, or high risk for hiring, or acceptable, marginal, or unacceptable for hiring. So they give their recommendation. So that's the psychological. Some more stuff is to be successful. You know, from my experience with this, again, be honest. Most assessments have like hidden questions and triggers built into the test to let the psychologist know if you're trying to be deceptive. So just be honest. Again, be yourself. Same thing with the polygraph. Be yourself. Answer the questions honestly, and whatever happens, happens. And wear business attire throughout this process. For men, it's pantsuits. Women, it may be skirts or blouse or anything that's business appropriate. Adhere to normal grooming standards. These are things that you can Google online, how to prepare yourself for interviews. So all this falls into that as well. So, dress the part. They always say dress for the job you want. Just don't wear a police uniform. Physical examination. So the medical exam will only be given to those ready to be offered employment. So this consists of medical personnel reviewing medical records. It may also include the applicant getting a physical examination. The cost of the examination is paid by the hiring agency, so you don't have to worry about that cost. The purpose of the medical exam is to determine the potential employee is physically able to perform the duties. Anyone out there on this Zoom meeting, that is considering a career in law enforcement, and you have a medical condition that may prohibit you from employment, you should try to explore this issue as soon as possible. So if you have high blood pressure, if you have high cholesterol, these are not going to rule you out. You need to go through these things with your doctor because these questions will come up during your physical exam. All right, so the part that everyone always waits for, because this is what scares people the most, because once you're hired, it's off to the academy. So like I said, we currently use 2 academies, which we could potentially use 3. So the State Police Academy, which is located in Dover, Delaware. So if you've ever been down in Dover, Delaware, it's in front of the Dover Mall, adjacent to the Dover Downs racetrack and casino. So the average Delaware State Police Academy it says 26 weeks. In the past it has. We're probably seeing anywhere from 21 to 23 weeks. Things change with COVID a little bit, so it can be shorter, it can be longer, so things adjust. But I would say anticipate 21 to 23 weeks. It is Monday through Friday, and it's a live-in academy. These are things you need to discuss with your family. Should you be hired, should you be sent to the Delaware State Police Academy, that you may have to live in there Monday through Friday. Usually you arrive there Monday morning at 7, and you leave Friday night at 7. That's what normally happens. That doesn't always happen. Could be later. Might be earlier. So understand that this is potentially 21 to 23 weeks of your life that's going to be interrupted with your home life. But like I tell everybody that I teach at the academy, it is 21 to 23 weeks of your life that you're going to have to deal with that's going to set you up for the rest of your life. You're being paid while you're there. You have health insurance while you're there. You're being fed while you're there. These are things that, as long as you can deal with it while you're there and graduate, you're setting yourself and your family up for a great career. Here's some pictures of the Delaware State Police Academy. These are older pictures, from some of them from my class, because I'm not going to give too much of an insight of what it's like today. But some of these pictures were taken at the Delaware State Police range. We have EVOC training, which is driving an emergency vehicle. That's conducted sometimes at Dover Downs. You will be OC sprayed, and there will be a lot of physical training, and there's going to be some fun training doing radar and LiDAR and driving. So this is kind of like a little inside look at what living quarters look like. So the classroom's the top right, and the bottom left is some of the living quarters. It's very barrack style, bunk style living. So that's something that you will have to get used to as well. So the Newcastle County Police Academy, I apologize for the blurry picture. This is located just outside the city of Newark in Newcastle County. So this averages, I'd say, 26 weeks. It could be longer, up to 30 weeks, because they are a day academy. So they are, again, Monday through Friday, like the State Police Academy. Their days are very long. They may start at 7 a.m. till 7 p.m., and then they get homework. So this is kind of realistic of what you may experience out on the street, work a 12-hour day and then go home and have to mow the lawn or deal with your child's homework. It's a day academy, and you will drive there every day. So some people might not want to drive every day. Some people might like to stay over. This isn't something that we pick. This is something that whatever comes up first, the first available, is where you go. So if you say, oh man, I really would want to go to the state academy over the county academy, the choice isn't there. So prepare yourself for both experiences. So the Newcastle County Police Academy is very similar to Delaware State Police Academy. All the same training, just a little bit of a different atmosphere. And again, it's daytime. So you're going to do some physical activity. You're going to learn ground fighting techniques. You will be tased. Again, a lot of physical activity. And you will also be at the range. So the Newcastle County range is outdoors. The Delaware State Police Academy is indoors. Rifle is all done outdoors for both academies. So as we're wrapping up here, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us. I'm going to give you my email now, so if you have a pen and paper and want to write it down. It is also in the chat as well. So it's wsmith@newark.de.us. Also, feel free to follow us on our social media accounts. We put a lot of things about our hiring process, testing, events we'll be doing. These are things that if you follow us, we put a lot of the community stuff that we do, and that you, if you're in our process, you might want to follow so you can get some insight of what we do here in Newark and these things that may come up on some of your interviews. As you can see, a few of our officers attended an event at the Wilmington Blue Rocks game where they were able to have a catch on the field with kids. These are things that you might not hear or see about law enforcement. This is the stuff that we do, and the majority of our time is doing things like this. So understand that we do still have the ability to make an impact in our communities, and we are making that impact in our communities. So outside of what you may hear and see in the news is, you know, all we're doing is arresting people. This is what we're doing day in and day out, and this is the opportunity that you're going to have to do day in and day out. And Newark is one of the best departments for that. So if you're coming here to work and you want to continue your education, we encourage that. If you want to get involved in the community, we encourage that. If you're a people person and you want to truly help people, this is where you want to be, and we encourage it. So if you have friends or family that are also looking, have them apply. We do thank everyone for either applying or going to apply. I'm glad that everyone came on and attended this. It's the first time we're doing it through Zoom. So if we do have any more questions, we can unmute you. If you have any questions, you can send it in chat. I'll give it a minute or two and see if anyone has any further questions. feel free to ask any questions you might have, even if you think you might know it or you might know it from another agency. Please feel free to ask it. That's what I'm here for. I like to give people the advice and tips to really excel. We're just looking to try to get some great officers in our department. And if you have a question just about the career in general, please feel free to ask it. I know things are changing.
So someone asks what for transcripts don't come on time by the night, on the night, but if they're in process, I will order them tomorrow. Press release that takes 2 3 weeks. They can print out the unofficial ones.
So the question is what do I do if I cannot get my transcripts in time for October 9th? So if you can, please try to print your unofficial copy. You will still need to provide the official copy during the process, but you can provide an unofficial copy on October 9th. So don't, because I know dealing with some schools and military, it may take time, but if you can get your unofficial copy to us, that would be fine as well.
When will the next hiring be? I know I'm not getting ready to hire.
So the question was after this process, when will the next hiring process be? So again, I'm going to talk traditionally because law enforcement, our hiring processes are ever changing. So traditionally, we try to do a spring and a fall hire. So this is technically our spring hire because we're hiring for the spring academy. So the fall academy will be starting shortly. So that's already done. So I would say if you're in this process now, this would be September, October for a potential March academy. So once the March academy begins, you'll start to see, I would say late spring is when we would start hiring for a possible fall academy, which would be September, October. So if you're not of age or you feel you're not ready right now, now's the time to start preparing yourself and start looking for hiring right around, I'd say March and April is when we traditionally do it. But following us on social media, you'll be able to stay up on that as well.
Some guy asks, how many will we be hiring right now? He said, how many will we hire? So I'd say 1.
All right. So the question was, how many will we be hiring? So currently we're looking for 1 slot right now, which you may say, oh, that's not a lot. Well, we normally hire anywhere from 1 to 4 and up to 6 at any given time. We have 18 officers that are eligible for retirement at any given point. So that can change day to day. So currently it's 1, but it could be up to who knows how many based on the amount of retirement. So we don't know ahead of time if someone's going to say, hey, I'm in January, I'm going to retire. So if someone comes to us and says that, then that will change it. So it's ever changing. We do pretty much hire at least 1 to 3 officers every year, and it goes up to way more than that at times. So you'll sign a PT waiver, so the question was, do I need a physical test waiver or medical waiver prior to the PT test? You'll sign that there. Well, yeah, it's not. You're not going to need anything from a doctor. It's more or less just a waiver of liability that you'll need to sign prior to the PT test.
How long will you be on the eligibility list for?
So the question is, how long will you be on the eligibility list for? Well, that varies depending on if we have 5 potential candidates that are all go through background, polygraph, and are deemed to have passed everything, and we hire all 5, then that list may close. So it's really hard to tell. So if we have this test open and let's say we hire 1 officer and they go to the State Police Academy on March 1st. Well, if someone retires and we need to hire a 2nd person off that list and the Academy for Newcastle County starts April 1st, then we would hire. So the list tends to stay open traditionally, again, I'm talking traditionally, anywhere from 6 months to a year. It just depends on how many people we're looking to hire at the time.
If you tell them if there's people who retire,
yes. Yeah, and if I didn't clarify enough, so currently right now, out of the 72 officers that we are currently employing, 18 are eligible to retire. So we have 18 people that have hit their 20-year mark that are eligible to retire and leave. And that even is going to increase come March and April. So that might potentially go up to 20.
All right, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, this is a follow-up question regarding the Act 120. Let's say all my credits do transfer and I do get hired. Will I start work right away, or will there be some required additional training specific to the department?
So everyone is, so basically with the Act 120, everything that all your training goes through the COPT. So with COPT, they may require you to attend a full academy. If they look at it and say you have enough the training, then they may say you need to attend so many classes to achieve that certification. For an example, the chief of police from Dover, Delaware, came from Upper Darby or Darby Township Police Department, and he had to go through several weeks of training to have his certification transferred over. So it is a case-by-case basis. You will have to attend significant amount of training to get you up to speed for the Delaware COPT standards. Doesn't necessarily mean you'd have to go through a whole academy, but people have gone through a whole academy before, but it is a case-by-case basis.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a practice written exam available on the website?
So question was, is there a practice exam available on the website? So currently there is not a practice. You know, I've done a lot of research in the hiring processes, and I've been through a lot of trainings, and there's books out there that say they can help you. I really haven't found anything that is significant enough to tell you to go buy it and go read this or go read that. You know, the biggest thing for me is going in relaxed. You will be sent a prep book, a prep guide in a PDF form for the test. So once the application is submitted, you're going to get a PDF file at some point that's going to have the prep test for it. That's probably going to be your best study guide or best guide to this test. But there's nothing really online or, you know, something that you can go out and buy or download from Amazon that's going to be like the one to help you. Any more? All right, so that looks like that's all the questions for tonight. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to email me. I deal with a lot of the recruitment and hiring process, so I could try to help if you have questions, guide you to the right direction. If you have questions about careers in law enforcement, please feel free to reach out to me. Whether you work here at another agency, we're always looking for good officers in the state of Delaware. If you're from out of state, I came here from out of state. Majority of our department, you know, is spread out through Delaware, Maryland, PA, and New Jersey. So if you have any questions about that type of stuff, please feel free to email me, reach out to me, and I will do my best to try to help you answer it. So we don't have any more questions for the night, so I appreciate everyone attending the first time we're doing this Zoom meeting, and I wish all of you the best luck through the process. But again, please feel free to reach out to me and follow us on social media if you have any questions or follow-ups about the upcoming process. All right, everyone have a good night.